There will be times in your life when the weight of existence feels unbearable. The temptation to give up, to abandon your ambitions, your responsibilities, even yourself, will creep in. It happens when suffering seems meaningless, when the effort required to improve appears insurmountable. But this is precisely where you must fight. You are not as weak as you believe yourself to be. The part of you that whispers, "I can't do this," is the same part that fears responsibility, effort, and the consequences of failure. But what if failure wasn't the worst thing? What if the worst thing was giving up? When you stop moving forward, you do not simply remain in place, you regress. Decay sets in. You begin to resent yourself, the world, and others who persist despite difficulty. You become bitter, cynical, and weak. And a weak person is not harmless. They are dangerous, both to themselves and those around them. So what should you do? First, acknowledge the suffering. Life is difficult, but difficulty itself is not an excuse to quit. It is an invitation to grow. Choose to bear the burden, however small, because that weight strengthens you. Start with order. Make your bed. Clean your space. Organize your mind. Small, consistent victories build the foundation for great achievements. If everything feels chaotic, stabilize what you can. If you feel powerless, act where you still have control. Speak the truth. Do not deceive yourself by saying, this is hopeless." Hope is not a gift. It is earned through action. Acknowledge your fears, but do not be ruled by them. Fear exists to guide you toward courage. And finally, remember this. The fact that you feel like giving up means you have something worth fighting for. Otherwise, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't feel anything at all. The struggle itself is proof of your potential. So take one step, then another. Because the person you could become is waiting on the other side of your persistence. Suffering is inevitable, but meaning is a choice. Every human life is marked by suffering, and there is no escaping it. It is woven into the fabric of existence. Pain, loss, disappointment, failure, these are not exceptions to the rule. They are the rule. The moment you are born into the world, you are thrust into a reality where struggle is guaranteed. No one, no matter how privileged or fortunate, is exempt from this fundamental truth. Yet despite its inevitability, suffering does not necessarily lead to despair. The difference between those who crumble under the weight of their suffering and those who emerge stronger lies not in the avoidance of hardship, but in the meaning they attach to it. Meaning is not something that is handed to you. It is something you construct. It is not found in passive comfort, in idleness, or in fleeting pleasures. Instead, meaning emerges from responsibility, from the pursuit of something greater than yourself, from the discipline of taking on challenges voluntarily rather than waiting for them to be forced upon you. The greatest figures in history, those who have inspired, who have led, who have endured unimaginable hardship, were not those who avoided suffering, but those who transformed it into something valuable. They did not ask, "Why me?" but rather, "What can I do with this?" When you suffer, you have a choice. You can become bitter, resentful, and cynical. You can curse existence and conclude that it is all meaningless. That path is easy, but it is also the path of weakness. It does not take strength to complain. It does not take courage to resign yourself to despair. But there is another choice, a harder, more demanding choice. You can choose to find meaning. That does not mean denying your pain or pretending it does not exist. It means standing up in the face of it, looking it in the eye, and saying, "I will turn this into something valuable." Imagine two people who both experience a devastating loss. One succumbs to the grief, allowing it to consume them entirely. They withdraw from life, drowning in sorrow, convinced that nothing matters anymore. The other, though equally devastated, decides to use their suffering as a catalyst for growth. They dedicate themselves to something meaningful, perhaps helping others in similar situations, perhaps striving to be a better person, perhaps using their experience to bring wisdom and strength to others. The loss remains, the pain does not disappear, but it is no longer just suffering. It is now the foundation of something meaningful. This principle applies to even the smallest struggles. If you are tired, if you are overwhelmed, if you feel like giving up, the question you must ask yourself is not, "How do I avoid this?" but rather, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me better?" The moment you take that perspective, suffering transforms from a crushing force into a tool for growth. Many people seek happiness, but happiness is not a worthy aim. Happiness is fleeting. It is temporary and dependent on external circumstances. If you chase happiness, you will find yourself in an endless cycle of disappointment. But meaning is something deeper. Meaning sustains you when happiness disappears. Meaning gives you a reason to endure suffering rather than be destroyed by it. You may not be able to control all the suffering in your life, but you can control whether or not it has meaning. And the meaning you create will determine the kind of person you become. You can become weak and bitter, or you can become strong and wise. The choice is yours. Aim for the highest good. Every person has an ideal, an image of who they could become, the best version of themselves, living with purpose and strength. The problem is that most people do not actively pursue this ideal. They allow distractions, doubts, and immediate pleasures to pull them away from the path they should be walking. Instead of aiming for the highest possible good, they settle for what is convenient, comfortable, and easy. This is a mistake. Life is difficult no matter what you choose, but if you do not aim high, the suffering that inevitably comes will have no purpose, no direction. You will still struggle, but it will be struggle without reward. You must set your sights on something meaningful, something so compelling that it justifies the effort required to attain it. This does not mean you must know exactly how to get there. In fact, you won't. But you must start with the conviction that there is a better version of yourself waiting at the end of the road, and you must move toward it, however uncertain the path may be. There is a reason the greatest stories ever told follow the same structure. A person leaves the safety of the familiar, faces unimaginable challenges, and emerges transformed. That is not just a story, it is the framework of a meaningful life. The question is whether you will choose to step forward into the unknown or remain where you are, afraid of the difficulties that lie ahead. The highest good is not an easy target. It demands discipline, sacrifice, and resilience. It requires that you give up what is convenient in favor of what is necessary. This is why so many people fail to pursue it. They want the reward without the struggle, the growth without the discomfort. But growth does not come from ease. It comes from pushing yourself beyond what you thought you were capable of. And the moment you stop moving forward, you begin to regress. If you aim low, you will hit your mark, but you will be left with the bitter realization that you were capable of so much more. If you aim high, you may not reach your ideal, but you will become something far greater than you were before. The pursuit itself will transform you. The struggle will forge you into a stronger, wiser, and more capable person. So do not settle for mediocrity. Aim for the highest good and move toward it with everything you have. Discipline is the foundation of progress. People often wait for motivation to take action, believing that they must feel inspired before they can begin working toward their goals. This is a dangerous illusion. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind, and if you rely on it, you will never build anything lasting. Discipline, on the other hand, is what allows you to make progress even when you don't feel like it. It is the ability to act regardless of your emotional state, to do what needs to be done even when every part of you resists it. Discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who fail. Talent is overrated. Natural ability may give you an advantage, but without discipline, it is meaningless. The person who consistently puts in the effort day after day will always surpass the person who relies on fleeting bursts of inspiration. Progress is not made in grand, dramatic moments. It is built in the small, often tedious actions that accumulate over time. The most successful people in any field are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who show up every single day, regardless of how they feel. They do not make excuses. They do not allow themselves to be ruled by comfort. They have trained themselves to push forward even when they are tired, discouraged, or uninspired. And that is why they achieve what others do not. Discipline is not just about achieving external success. It is about becoming a person you can respect. When you are disciplined, you prove to yourself that you are in control of your actions. You develop self-trust, knowing that when you set a goal, you will follow through. This builds confidence, resilience, and an unshakable belief in your own ability to overcome obstacles. If you want to improve your life, start with discipline. Do what you say you will do. Wake up when you said you would. Work when you said you would. Keep your promises to yourself. The small victories will build upon each other. And before you know it, you will have transformed into someone capable of achieving things you once thought impossible. The foundation of all progress is discipline, and the sooner you embrace it, the stronger you will become. Resentment leads to weakness. Responsibility leads to strength. It is easy to look at the world and feel resentment. Life is unfair. People suffer for reasons beyond their control. Some are born into privilege while others struggle from the beginning. Some work hard but never seem to get ahead, while others seem to succeed with little effort. This disparity breeds frustration, and frustration can turn into bitterness. If left unchecked, bitterness leads to resentment, and resentment is one of the most destructive forces a person can allow into their life. It robs you of agency. It convinces you that your failures are the fault of others, of society, of forces beyond your control. And if everything is someone else's fault, then you are powerless to change your situation. You become weak, angry, and trapped in a cycle of blame. But there is an alternative: responsibility. Responsibility is the antidote to resentment. When you take responsibility, you stop looking for external excuses and start focusing on what you can do to improve. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how unfair your circumstances may be. The moment you take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, and your future, you gain power. You can control your response to difficulty. You can choose to rise above setbacks instead of being defeated by them. Responsibility means accepting that life is difficult, but deciding to carry that burden anyway. It means standing up straight, facing the challenges ahead, and saying, "This is mine to deal with." A person who takes responsibility becomes strong, not because they are free from suffering, but because they refuse to be broken by it. They recognize that even if life is unfair, they still have choices. They can still work towards something meaningful. They can still take action. Responsibility is not just about duty. It is about growth. The more responsibility you take on, the more capable you become. You strengthen yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. You build resilience. And with resilience comes the ability to navigate life's inevitable struggles without being consumed by bitterness or despair. Chaos and order must be balanced. Life exists between two opposing forces: chaos and order. Too much order leads to rigidity, stagnation, and a lack of growth. Too much chaos leads to destruction, fear, and instability. A meaningful life is found by learning to balance these forces rather than being controlled by them. Order represents structure, discipline, and stability. It is necessary for progress. Without order, there is no direction, no consistency, no ability to build something lasting. A person with no order in their life is lost. Their days are unstructured, their goals unclear, and their actions reactive rather than intentional. They are constantly overwhelmed, moving from one problem to the next without any real sense of control. But too much order can be equally dangerous. A life that is overly structured, that avoids all risk and uncertainty, becomes stagnant. Growth requires stepping outside of comfort, confronting the unknown, and embracing challenge. People who cling too tightly to order often find themselves stuck in routines that no longer serve them. They resist change even when change is necessary. They fear uncertainty so much that they limit their potential. Chaos, though frightening, is also where opportunity lies. It is the unknown, the unpredictable, the place where transformation happens. Stepping into chaos, whether it's taking on a new challenge, moving toward an uncertain future, or confronting difficult truths, is what allows a person to grow. It is where strength is built, where resilience is forged, and where meaning is discovered. The key is not to eliminate chaos or order, but to balance them. You must have enough order to provide stability and enough chaos to promote growth. If your life feels too chaotic, create structure. Set goals. Develop routines. Take control where you can. If your life feels too rigid, introduce challenge. Push yourself. Take risks. Step into the unknown. The ability to navigate between chaos and order, to find balance in the tension between them, is what leads to a meaningful and fulfilling life. The easiest path in life is often the one paved with deception. People lie to avoid conflict, to protect their ego, to make things appear better than they are. But every lie, no matter how small, erodes the foundation of a person's integrity. Lies distort reality. They create a false world. And the longer a person operates within that false world, the more disconnected they become from what is real. And when reality eventually asserts itself, as it always does, the consequences are far worse than if the truth had been faced from the beginning. Speaking and acting truthfully does not mean being unnecessarily harsh or insensitive. It means aligning your words and actions with what you genuinely believe to be right. It means refusing to deceive yourself or others, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It means acknowledging your flaws instead of pretending they don't exist, recognizing your weaknesses instead of covering them up, and taking responsibility for your mistakes instead of blaming others. Telling the truth requires courage. It is far easier to say what people want to hear, to avoid confrontation, to maintain the illusion that everything is fine. But the problem with lies is that they accumulate. A single lie can lead to another and another until a person finds themselves trapped in a reality they no longer control. They become a prisoner of their own deception. Truth is not just about words, it is about action. Living truthfully means aligning your behavior with your values. It means making decisions based on what is right, not what is convenient. It means standing by your principles even when it costs you something. People who live this way develop an unshakable sense of confidence and self-respect. They do not have to constantly maintain a web of deception. They are grounded in reality, able to face life as it is rather than as they wish it to be. There is nothing more destructive than self-deception. A person who lies to themselves avoids responsibility, justifies bad decisions, and convinces themselves that they are powerless to change. They construct narratives that excuse their failures rather than learning from them. They remain stagnant, trapped in a cycle of avoidance and denial. The only way out of this cycle is to embrace truth, even when it is painful. Truth builds strength. A person who speaks and acts truthfully gains the trust of others. They develop clarity in their thinking. They become resilient, able to withstand hardship because they do not need to constantly protect fragile illusions. They face reality as it is, and in doing so, they gain the power to shape it. Choosing truth is choosing strength, and strength is what allows a person to endure, to grow, and to build a life worth living. You are more capable than you think. Most people vastly underestimate their own potential. They look at challenges and immediately assume they are not strong enough, not smart enough, not talented enough to overcome them. They let fear dictate their choices, keeping them in a cycle of comfort and avoidance. But the reality is that no one knows their true limits until they push themselves beyond what they believe is possible. Every person has far more strength within them than they give themselves credit for, but that strength remains hidden until it is tested. Many people go through life never truly testing their abilities. They choose the easiest path, avoiding anything that might lead to failure or discomfort. They convince themselves that they are incapable before they even try. And yet, history is full of individuals who achieved greatness not because they were born extraordinary, but because they refused to accept their limitations. They struggled, they failed, they suffered, but they kept going. Through that struggle, they discovered strength they never knew they had. The same potential exists within you, but you will never find it unless you challenge yourself. If you tell yourself you are weak, you will act weak. If you tell yourself you cannot do something, you will not even try. These beliefs become self-fulfilling. But what happens when you push through discomfort? When you take on something difficult and refuse to quit, you grow. You realize that you are not as fragile as you once thought. Every time you overcome a challenge, your perception of yourself changes. You become someone who faces obstacles rather than avoids them, someone who persists rather than gives up. Over time, this mindset transforms you into a person who is truly capable of achieving great things. But you must be willing to step into the unknown. You must be willing to fail, to struggle, to be uncomfortable. Growth does not happen in ease, it happens in adversity. Your potential is far greater than your self-doubt suggests, but the only way to prove that to yourself is through action. The struggle itself is proof of your potential. People often believe that feeling doubt or difficulty is a sign that they should quit. They think if this were meant for me, it wouldn't be this hard. But that is the wrong way to look at it. Struggle is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are growing. It means you are stepping beyond your current limits, expanding your capacity, becoming more than you were before. Imagine a weightlifter training to become stronger. If they only lift what is easy, they will never build strength. The only way to grow is to push their muscles beyond their current capacity. It is the discomfort that signals progress. The same principle applies to life. If something is difficult, if it challenges you, it is an opportunity to grow stronger. Every struggle you endure is proof that you are stretching beyond who you used to be. When you feel like giving up, consider this. The person you want to become is on the other side of persistence. Every great achievement, every moment of triumph, every transformation begins with struggle. The only way to become stronger is to endure. And the fact that you are struggling means you are on the right path. If you were not capable of growth, you would feel nothing at all. The very presence of difficulty in your life is a sign that you are being shaped into something greater. Start where you are and move forward. Many people delay action because they feel unprepared. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of confidence before they begin. But that moment never comes. No one is ever fully ready. Growth happens through action, not preparation. Not preparation. The most successful people in any field did not start with all the answers. They started where they were, with what they had, and they figured it out along the way. Perfectionism is often an excuse for inaction. If you tell yourself you need to be fully ready before you start, you will never start. Progress does not come from waiting. It comes from movement. Even the smallest step forward is better than standing still. If you do not know the entire path, take the first step. If you do not feel ready, start anyway. The path will become clearer as you move forward. It is easy to become overwhelmed by the enormity of a goal. If you look at the full picture, it may seem impossible. But no great achievement happens all at once. It is built through small, consistent actions. If you focus on just taking the next step, on making today slightly better than yesterday, those small efforts compound over time. Do not let the fear of imperfection stop you. Do not wait until you feel confident. Confidence comes from action. Start where you are with whatever resources and knowledge you have, and trust that the process of moving forward will reveal the path ahead. The only real failure is refusing to begin. The person you could become is waiting on the other side of your persistence. There is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you are today. That person is not unreachable. They are not some distant fantasy. They exist, but they can only be reached through effort, through struggle, through endurance. Every choice you make, every action you take, moves you either closer to that person or further away. The difference between those who achieve great things and those who do not is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is persistence. The ability to keep going despite failure, despite setbacks, despite doubt is what separates those who reach their full potential from those who fall short. The truth is, no one escapes difficulty. No one avoids suffering. But the question is, will you let it define you in weakness or in strength? Will you let hardship break you, or will you use it to forge yourself into something greater? The person you could become is not an illusion. It is the result of the choices you make today. So when you feel like giving up, remember this: the struggle you face is shaping you. The difficulty you endure is making you stronger. And the person you are becoming, the best version of you, is waiting just on the other side of persistence. Your mindset determines your reality. The way you perceive the world shapes your experience of it. If you believe that life is unfair, that you are doomed to fail, that no matter what you do, things will not improve, then you will act in ways that reinforce those beliefs. You will sabotage yourself without even realizing it. You will ignore opportunities, avoid challenges, and dismiss potential solutions because your mindset has already convinced you that effort is pointless. But if you believe that change is possible, that your actions matter, that growth comes from struggle, then you will behave accordingly. You will seek out ways to improve, push through obstacles, and develop resilience in the face of adversity. Your mindset is not just a passive thought pattern. It is the foundation upon which your entire reality is built. Many people assume that external circumstances determine their success or failure, but that is only partially true. Yes, your starting point matters. Yes, there are factors beyond your control. But the most powerful force in shaping your future is how you choose to think and act in response to those factors. Two people can face the same setback. One will see it as proof that they should give up, while the other will see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. The difference is mindset. And that difference determines everything. Your mind is your most powerful tool, but it can also be your greatest enemy. If you allow negative thoughts to dominate your thinking, they will poison your potential. They will create doubt, fear, and hesitation. But if you train yourself to recognize negative patterns and replace them with thoughts that empower you, you will become stronger, more determined, and more capable. Mindset is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing to interpret reality in a way that helps you grow rather than keeps you stuck. Self-discipline is the foundation of success. Many people assume that success is the result of talent, luck, or external advantages. While these factors can play a role, the true key to long-term success is self-discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is what separates those who dream about success from those who achieve it. It is the ability to push forward despite fatigue, to maintain focus despite distractions, to persevere despite setbacks. Without discipline, no amount of talent or intelligence will amount to anything. The problem is that most people operate based on emotion. If they feel motivated, they take action. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel discouraged, they quit. This is why so many people fail to reach their goals. They believe that they need to feel inspired in order to act. But discipline means acting regardless of emotion. It means setting a standard for yourself and meeting it consistently, even when it's difficult. Self-discipline is built through small daily decisions. It is the choice to wake up on time instead of sleeping in. The choice to work when you'd rather procrastinate. The choice to stick to your commitments even when no one is watching. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your ability to control your own actions. Over time, this builds momentum, and momentum creates progress. The most successful people in any field are not those who rely on motivation, but those who have trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They have learned to override their impulses, to prioritize long-term goals over short-term gratification. And because of this, they achieve what others do not. If you want to improve your life, start with discipline. Master yourself, and you will master your future. Embrace discomfort as a path to growth. People avoid discomfort because it is unpleasant. They seek comfort, ease, and familiarity. But growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you push yourself beyond what is easy. Discomfort is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. It is the sign that you are challenging yourself, stepping beyond your current limits, becoming something more than you were before. Every meaningful achievement requires discomfort. If you want to become physically stronger, you must push your body beyond its current capabilities. If you want to develop a new skill, you must struggle through the frustration of being a beginner. If you want to build confidence, you must face situations that make you uncomfortable. There is no way around this. The only way to grow is through discomfort. Most people do not succeed because they avoid the struggle. They give up when things get hard. They assume that difficulty means they are not capable, when in reality, difficulty is the price of progress. If you can shift your mindset to see discomfort as a necessary and valuable part of growth, you will become unstoppable. Instead of fearing failure, you will see it as feedback. Instead of avoiding challenges, you will seek them out. Instead of quitting when things get hard, you will recognize that struggle is proof that you are on the right path. You must become the kind of person who thrives in difficulty, who welcomes challenges, who understands that every hardship is an opportunity to become stronger. Growth is not about avoiding discomfort. It is about learning to function within it, to push through it, and to emerge better because of it. The more you embrace discomfort, the more resilient, capable, and unstoppable you will become. Take responsibility for your life. It is easy to blame others for your problems. It is easy to point to circumstances, to the actions of others, to unfairness and injustice as the reason why you are not where you want to be. And while these things may be real, focusing on them will do nothing to change your situation. The only way to improve your life is to take full responsibility for it. Responsibility means recognizing that your actions determine your future. It means accepting that while you cannot control everything, you can control your response to everything. It means refusing to see yourself as a victim and instead choosing to see yourself as someone capable of overcoming obstacles. When you take responsibility, you take back power. You stop waiting for external forces to fix your problems, and you start creating solutions. Many people avoid responsibility because it is difficult. It is much easier to blame others than to admit that you need to change. But responsibility is the path to freedom. When you take full ownership of your choices, your habits, and your mindset, you gain the ability to shape your future. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become the architect of your own life. Responsibility is not just about accepting blame, it is about accepting the power to change. It is about recognizing that no matter where you are right now, you have the ability to move forward. It does not matter how many times you have failed, how unfair life has been, or how difficult your situation is. What matters is what you do next. If you take responsibility for your actions, your growth, and your future, you will gain the power to transform your life in ways you never thought possible. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. It is up to you to take control, to take responsibility, and to build the life you want. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you will begin to create the future you deserve. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Every person will experience pain in life: physical pain, emotional pain, failure, loss, disappointment. These things are unavoidable. But the difference between those who grow stronger and those who fall into despair is how they choose to respond to that pain. Suffering is not just about the experience of pain itself. It is about the meaning we attach to it. When pain is seen as something pointless, as something that simply exists to make life miserable, then suffering becomes overwhelming. But when pain is seen as a teacher, as something that can be learned from, then suffering can be minimized. The greatest individuals in history did not escape pain. They endured it, faced it, and turned it into something meaningful. They took hardship and transformed it into wisdom, strength, and purpose. If you allow pain to break you, it will. But if you decide that pain will be your fuel rather than your prison, you will become someone who is unstoppable. Pain itself does not define you. What defines you is what you do with it. You must not allow yourself to become a victim of your pain. When bad things happen, it is easy to fall into self-pity, to believe that life is unfair and that you are powerless to change it. But self-pity does nothing to improve your situation, it only keeps you stuck. The truth is, you are capable of handling far more than you think. The human spirit is incredibly resilient. There are people who have suffered unimaginable hardships and still found a way to live with strength and purpose. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not the level of pain they experience, it is their mindset toward it. If you want to avoid unnecessary suffering, you must change your relationship with pain. Instead of seeing it as something that makes you weak, see it as something that makes you stronger. Instead of running from it, face it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this pain to become better? How can I turn this experience into something meaningful? When you approach pain with this mindset, it loses its power over you. It no longer controls you, you control it. The mind is a battlefield, and you must win the war against yourself. Most of the struggles people face are not external, they are internal. Fear, doubt, insecurity, laziness, these are the real enemies. They whisper to you every day, telling you that you are not good enough, that you should give up, that you do not have what it takes. If you listen to these voices, they will destroy you. They will keep you from taking action, from pursuing your goals, from becoming the person you were meant to be. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world, it is against your own mind. Winning this battle requires discipline. You must train yourself to control your thoughts rather than letting them control you. Every time a negative thought enters your mind, you must challenge it. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it pushing me forward or holding me back? If it is not serving you, replace it with a thought that does. This is not easy, but it is necessary. If you allow your mind to be controlled by negativity, you will never reach your full potential. You must also learn to separate yourself from your emotions. Your emotions are powerful, but they are not always accurate. Just because you feel like a failure does not mean you are one. Just because you feel like giving up does not mean you should. Emotions are temporary, but your actions have lasting consequences. If you make decisions based on how you feel in the moment, you will constantly sabotage yourself. Instead, you must act based on your principles and goals, not your emotions. If you wake up feeling unmotivated, you must still do the work. If you feel afraid, you must still take the step forward. Winning the war in your mind means learning to override your impulses and do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the habits you engage in, these things all have a massive impact on your mindset and success. Many people fail not because they are incapable, but because they allow themselves to be influenced by negativity, by people who drain their energy, by habits that weaken them. If you want to grow, you must be intentional about your environment. First, evaluate the people in your life. Are they pushing you forward or pulling you down? Are they encouraging you to be your best self, or are they feeding your doubts and insecurities? The company you keep is a reflection of who you are becoming. If you spend time with people who complain, who make excuses, who avoid responsibility, you will absorb their mindset. But if you surround yourself with people who are driven, disciplined, and growth-oriented, you will naturally rise to their level. Second, be mindful of what you consume. The books you read, the videos you watch, the conversations you engage in, these things program your mind. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, fear-mongering, and distraction, your mind will be filled with those things. But if you fill your mind with knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration, your thinking will begin to reflect those values. Finally, examine your habits. Your daily routines shape your future. Small, seemingly insignificant actions compound over time. If you spend your days on mindless distractions, on procrastination, on bad habits, your future will reflect that. But if you discipline yourself to build positive habits, to learn, to exercise, to work on your goals, your future will be shaped by those choices. Your environment is not just about where you live, it is about everything you expose yourself to daily. Take control of it, and you take control of your growth. Excuses will destroy your potential. Everyone has reasons why they cannot succeed. They are too tired, too busy, too unprepared, too unlucky. These excuses may feel real, but they are lies. They are barriers the mind creates to justify an action. The reality is, if you want something badly enough, you will find a way. And if you do not, you will find an excuse. Excuses are the enemy of growth. Every time you give yourself an excuse, you reinforce a pattern of weakness. You train your mind to look for reasons to quit instead of reasons to persevere. But the most successful people are those who refuse to accept excuses. They find solutions, they adapt, they push through obstacles. They understand that life is not fair, but they do not let that stop them. You must take full responsibility for your actions and results. If something is important, you will make time for it. If you want to improve, you will find a way. And if you fail, you will learn and try again. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you take back control of your life. Your future is being shaped right now. Every action you take, every habit you build, every decision you make is either moving you closer to your goals or further away. There is no neutral. Time is passing, and what you do with it matters. If you waste today, you are setting yourself up for regret. If you take action today, you are building momentum for the future. The question is not whether you will succeed. It is whether you will do what is necessary to succeed. The choice is yours. You can continue making excuses, letting fear and doubt control you and staying stuck where you are. Or you can take responsibility, discipline your mind, and take action despite fear. Your future is in your hands. Make the choice that leads to growth. You must have a clear vision of the future you want to create. Most people drift through life without a strong sense of direction. They react to circumstances instead of shaping them. They live based on short-term desires rather than long-term goals. This lack of clarity keeps them stuck in cycles of mediocrity. If you do not know where you are going, how can you expect to get there? A person without a vision is like a ship without a destination, tossed around by the winds, moving but never arriving anywhere meaningful. Clarity of vision is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who simply exist. When you have a vision, your actions become purposeful. You no longer waste time on distractions because you know where you are headed. Your decisions become easier because they are filtered through the question, does this bring me closer to my vision or further away? Without this clarity, you will be pulled in 100 different directions, chasing things that do not truly matter, wondering why you feel lost. To create a vision, you must first understand what you truly want. Not what others expect from you, not what society pressures you into, but what you deeply desire. This requires honesty. Many people never take the time to ask themselves, what kind of life do I actually want to live? They follow paths chosen for them by others, then wonder why they feel unfulfilled. You must define success on your own terms. What does the best version of your life look like? What kind of person do you want to become? What impact do you want to have? These are the questions you must answer. Once you have a vision, you must commit to it fully. A vision without action is just a fantasy. Many people daydream about success, but do nothing to achieve it. They hope things will work out, but do not take the necessary steps to make it happen. Hope is not a strategy. If you want to turn your vision into reality, you must create a plan and execute it with discipline. Break your vision down into clear goals. Identify the daily habits and actions that will lead you there. Hold yourself accountable. A vision should not just inspire you, it should drive you to act. Do not expect the path to be easy. Anything worthwhile requires effort, patience, and resilience. There will be challenges, setbacks, and failures. But if your vision is strong enough, you will push through. Many people give up because they do not truly believe in what they are working toward. They lack commitment. If you have a powerful enough reason, nothing will stop you. When obstacles arise, you will find a way around them. When doubt creeps in, you will remind yourself why you started. One of the greatest mistakes people make is underestimating how long success takes. They expect quick results, and when progress is slow, they lose motivation. But every great achievement is the result of sustained effort over time. You must be willing to work relentlessly, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Growth is often invisible at first. It is like planting a seed. You do not see results immediately, but if you keep watering it, eventually it will grow. Trust the process. Stay focused on the vision. Keep showing up every day. Your vision should challenge you. If it does not scare you at least a little, it is probably not big enough. Growth comes from pushing beyond your comfort zone, from setting goals that force you to become more than you are today. Do not settle for a vision that is merely realistic. If your dream is too safe, it will not inspire you to act. Aim higher. Demand more from yourself. You are capable of far more than you think, but you will never know your full potential unless you push yourself to find it. Surround yourself with people who support your vision. Many dreams are killed by the wrong environment. If you are constantly around people who doubt you, who discourage you, who tell you to be unrealistic, their negativity will infect your mindset. Choose your influences wisely. Seek out people who challenge you to grow, who push you to be better, who believe in what you are trying to achieve. If you cannot find these people in your immediate environment, find them in books, in podcasts, in online communities. Protect your vision from those who do not understand it. Your vision is your responsibility. No one else will create it for you. No one else will hold you accountable. It is up to you to take action, to stay disciplined, to keep moving forward even when motivation fades. Many people wait for permission to go after what they want. They wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, the ideal circumstances. But waiting is a trap. There is no perfect moment. The only time to start is now. Your future is being built with every decision you make. Right now, you are either moving closer to your vision or further away from it. There is no in between. Time does not stop for hesitation, for self-doubt, for excuses. If you are serious about creating the life you want, you must act today. Small steps add up. The more consistent you are, the more momentum you will build. And once you gain momentum, nothing will be able to stop you. Do not allow yourself to live a life of regret. Do not look back years from now and wonder what could have been if only you had committed to your vision. The opportunity to create the future you want is here now. The question is, will you take it? Will you step up, take responsibility, and build the life you are capable of? Or will you let fear, doubt, and hesitation keep you stuck? The choice is yours. But understand this, your vision will not wait forever. Either you go after it or you lose it. Make the decision today to pursue it with everything you have. Your future self will thank you.